Hello again, loyal fans. This is the progress so far as I've experimented after painting these three guys. Again, these were contrast paints, Arkellian green on the pants, which had some nice contrast effects. I think that was Fire Slayer, whatever color. Contrast for the flesh, snakebite leather for the hair and skulls, and that was it. After painting these three guys, I decided to paint the entire army as you see here. A lot of them had already been painted. These guys at the back were Fire Slayer flesh or Golem flesh, the two flesh colors, contrast colors I had. And some of them worked out better than others. You can see about 7 that were undercoated gray beforehand, and they actually look pretty good. The 5 behind them were previously painted by someone else and not painted that well. I experimented a little bit. Same with these lead belchers. Had been painted badly beforehand, and I just put Golem and Flesh over them. I think they were gray beforehand, and that's what Golem and Flesh or Fire Slayer Flesh kind of looks like. It's not that great. At the same time, they kind of look sooty, which is great when they're wielding black powder. I may change that. And some of these man-eaters at the back were also painted. They're alright. It's a really dark flesh. I think this guy is probably the lightest one from the gray. And yeah, it's still a dark flesh color. I don't mind this entire army being a dark flesh color, honestly. That works for me. I don't have the other lighter flesh color contrast paint yet, and I may just try to paint these guys before I get it. These guys all here were elf flesh probably beforehand, with no, just a straight elf flesh that someone else had painted. Again, I tried to paint some of them behind there with not great success, so I've undercoated them as a kind of a zenithal just from above a white flesh, or white undercoat, and hopefully that'll help me use a contrast paint over them. I haven't tried that yet. The other thing I have tried is these guys. This is the color that I had, that someone else did. Just a straight undercoat. No. On the bright side is light, so I can do something about that. This was a contrast color. I think it was Agaros Dunes. Might have been Snakebite Leather, I can't quite remember. It's okay, but it wastes a lot of a contrast paint for not that much contrast, in my opinion. If I used the medium over it, maybe that would be better, but still it wouldn't get that dark. So this one, and what I ended up painting the back line of those guys, and that one mammoth, I went back to a really old chestnut ink, because I have 1 or 2 of these from, I guess, 99, 2000. The bolt gun caps that no one really liked, and that dries way too quickly. Except the ink, most of the inks I have from that era are fine. All the other paints are bad, but the inks are still good. I tried this Agrax Earthshade on one of those guys, and meh, it's not what I wanted. So that's not too bad. Again, that's not good enough, but dry brushing 1 or 2 colors over that will probably be good enough for me, especially when I'm painting like 9 of these plus at least 2 of the larger guys. Oh, and then I've also have the 4 Rhinox there. Gotta figure something out. So that is that chestnut ink. I've got some other inks, so I've stopped halfway, and I'll probably try the different inks on the other ones just to add a little bit of differences. And these guys that you see right now, I'm not sure. Some of them, I could have painted these guys, which had been previously painted. Could have given them a white undercoat zenithal as well. I decided not to because it was their clothes maybe that was a bad choice. We'll see how these guys turn out first, and then I may do the same thing to them. No big deal. These guys I gave a bit more of a wide undercoat from above. So he's still very, very light. But I'll save the characters for later. Anyways, these three are still kind of my favorites, but what can you do? Yeah. I'll update my progress shortly. And back with more progress. These guys have been greatly improved. I think most of that was Golem and Flesh. I may have switched between Golem and Fire Slayer. Some of them look better than others. And I started, like, at least these guys, doing the metal parts. Not exactly sure what metal I should go with. That was Screaming Bell with, I think, chainmail on top. This and... oh, now I can't remember. I think this and most of the others were all tin bits on the bottom with a lot of chainmail dry brushed on top. They're not done by any means, but... and that was tin bits with a lot of chainmail on top. I figured tin bits chainmail would be the right choice, but I'm not really sure. Their pants kind of make them seem like they're on some Simmons exercise routine, but other than that, it's alright. I prefer the blue. This guy was one of the ones with the Arkellian green. Can't see as much of the contrast from there, but I prefer that. I'm still not sure about the metal. Probably more silverish. But most of the ones that I primed white in the last video all had purple below, and I didn't really want to change it all and go crazy. The giant I put, I think it was Golem and Flesh on. Oop. He's almost broken twice now. He looks pretty good, and I added a bit of blue. Since he has so many patches on his pants and stuff, they'll be all in different colors, and I think contrast is great for that. I finished, well, this guy's fur. Basically the rest of them I used different fur flesh colors. This might have just been brown ink. Not really sure. Again, I'll probably dry brush them all to add minor details. These guys had somewhat improved. I put Arkellian green over this guy's blue because it was a very bright blue, and now it's darker. It's not that great of a job. It still needs other highlights. It looks better than what it did, but not by that much. This guy had an elf flesh. I put, I think, Golem and Flesh over. He looks better, maybe not perfect. I'm not sure what I'll do with the rest of the gray here. These characters I kind of started with two colors, and I like it. He just has a lot of chain, a lot of metal. And then from there, I just bought a bunch of new contrast. And these two Ballista from, I think, Wizards of the Coast for $7 for the two of them. They're pretty small, but I only have one bolt thrower for Orcs and Goblins. And they're like 35 points each. But probably like $30 to buy, so, you know, 2 for $7 Canadian. Yes, please. This white, just for airbrushing, I hope it'll work. We'll see. I do have metal airbrush colors, and I haven't bought a Citadel Air before, but I think I'm going to try this because it looks like a chainmail silver, which would be great for the effect I want to get on these guys. I'm just not getting it on those guys yet. And then I was trying to get more contrast because obviously I like them so far. I just couldn't get all of the ones I wanted. She-ish Purple will do well for Demonettes, since I've got a bunch of Slaanesh. I wanted Grift Hound Orange, and I think Iandon Yellow, but all the yellows were gone. This I think is Warpstone Green. I don't actually know because the tag's off, and I decided to buy it anyways because I just want green. Griff Charger Gray, decent enough. Skeleton Horde. So those are staples. I still want the black, and I specifically want the black so I can go over these Yetis, which have already been painted white. Just paint the black over, so hopefully it'll look pretty good with one coat of paint to make them look like black Onis for the Nippon Army. And that's about the progress I have so far. Actually, and oh, these guys I'm still not sure. Based on what I did with these guys, just like with a spray can, putting white over them from on top, and then doing a contrast color, like their skin is greatly improved to what it was. These guys' skin kind of sucks, so I may do that as well. It'll slow me down in other ways, but it might be the right choice, at least for these lead belchers. I just kind of like the metal as well. I don't really want to redo it. If I was smart, I'd put something over the metal and then airbrush or spray primer, but I'm not. I'm lazy. The iron guts still aren't looking that good. This guy was one of the few unpainted ones, and he's okay. So, not too happy. I don't have the wild wood contrast yet, so I'm gonna have to wait for the wood. But we'll see. Further progress. These guys are definitely looking better, almost looking like a full forest. There's some colors I still haven't quite painted. Most of that gray is actually painted, except that guy in the middle is missing, I think, the stone color. But a lot of their clubs do have the gray contrast paint on it. The metal, I decided to go with this Screaming Bell color, and I want to add some rust to it and a bit of silver. I did it with some of these models. I can't quite see which one at the moment, but they're looking alright. Lead belchers, no. 3 of the iron guts are the same, and the other 9, which weren't my paint job initially, I've kind of updated, but I'm still not that happy with. There's still a bunch of work to go with them. These 3 ninjas, red, blue, and green, I added contrast over. They're looking alright. The red one could still use more contrast, and the other 2 I haven't really touched. Some of the man-eaters I've worked on. This guy is all, well, contrast and Screaming Bell. He's not done yet, but I am really liking the contrast that I put on him. Again, that blue is not the best. I still need to utilize my contrast paint technique a little bit better, but I'm mostly just worried about extra gray or white you can see in the gaps. These guys, the 3 which aren't painted, they're still like that brownish color, they are glued to the mounts. That's just been the problem, so I didn't want to spray them white without like covering the mount, because I kind of like the mount as it is. The others are at least I tried to just go through the metal. They're all slowly being worked on. These guys still need the flesh color, same with them. This guy still needs a head. This guy still needs like the big shields on the side. This has been painted and helped. Again, the metal still needs to be worked on. The horn definitely needs to be worked on. I think everything basically needs to be worked on. A little part of the back that still hasn't been painted, but at least that's getting closer. They're all getting closer. They've just been such a pain. Oh, and this guy is also, he's glued, but at least he's been kind of painted initially. Just working on the metal with him. And then the only other thing, this is what the black contrast paint, because I got a bunch more contrast. I don't have the whole collection, but I have most of them now, I guess, maybe half. I'm not that happy with the black contrast. I added a bunch of the medium, and then I gave up on it and just used it straight. I should give it a second coat just to make sure, but I don't know if I'll do all of them that black color. I may just spray paint them all black and go the other way. That might be faster, because it is going into the recesses, but not in the ways I'd like to. Anyways, it's been further progress, and at least they kind of look good.